What's good, y'all? We back with another video, man. Y'all know what it is, and y'all know who the fuck it is, nigga. You know who the fuck it is, nigga. Especially if you my area, nigga. You know who the fuck this shit is, nigga. But anyways, to all the nerds, to all the ghetto nerds, to all the geeks, to all the freaks, to all the weirdos out there, you at the right place, man. You at the right channel. Now, shout out Comics Explained. I've been watching him since a little boy. I ain't gonna lie, since I was young. And he breaks down pretty much comic books, but he just breaks them down on YouTube. And now this was how I've been learning all my history about different superheroes. We just watched a death battle between Superboy Prime and the Sentry, but I had to get this one out to y'all first. What if Marvel Superman kills the Marvel Universe? I need y'all to actually understand how dangerous the Void is because they don't do them history in the movies and they put up the Thunderbolts against the Void, bro. Fuck out of here. So we gonna tune in. Make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe, fuck with the content. Comment down below who your favorite hero is, who your favorite villain is, whatever. Favorite villain, the Joker, Thanos, Magneto. The Joker, Thanos, Magneto. Those are my top three villains. My top three heroes. Ooh. I'm gonna get back to y'all on that one. Let's check it out.
And if you're enjoying the content that I'm uploading onto my channel, then feel free to subscribe, and you can also offer suggestions on topics and characters and storylines and whatnot that we can have discussions on later on in this channel.
So for this week's What If story, I figured we'd do the story of what if the Sentry killed the Marvel Universe. Now, this actually comes out as a what if story as a counterpart to Siege, which is actually issue number 200. It's actually pretty cool. But for those of you guys who don't know, I've done a video on Siege, which you'll find down in the description. But the basis of this was really like the conclusion of everything that had come after Civil War. I mean, we had the Superhuman Registration Act, we had Secret Invasion, we had Dark Reign, where Norman Osborn had replaced Tony Stark as director of S.H.I.E.L.D., and Norman Osborn had looked to basically take over the world. The idea of Siege brought all these things to an end. So it saw the disbanding of the Superhuman Registration Act, it saw the defeat of Norman Osborn, it saw the death of Robert Reynolds in the original story, the death of the Sentry. This what if story takes a different approach. So during Dark Reign, Norman Osborn had basically replaced the Avengers with villains, because for a lot of people out there, they knew about the identity of some of the heroes, but they didn't know all of them. And so, for example, Hawkeye was basically replaced with Bullseye. Norman Osborn himself took over the role of Iron Man, operating under the role of, or under the name of Iron Patriot with the Iron Man armor. We had a multitude of heroes who were essentially just replaced with villains, and then Osborn used them as a way to effectively solidify his reign. Now, we also had groups like the X-Men, which were basically outliers in the sense that Norman Osborn's control at the time was really isolated to the continental United States. And so for the X-Men, they effectively left the continental United States. They formed their own society in a place called Utopia off the coast of San Francisco, and they operated outside of Norman Osborn's control. And so because of this, they were able to basically try to thwart his efforts as best they could, but there really wasn't a whole lot that they could do, because remember, this is a point in the history of the X-Men where the mutant population has been reduced by 98%. So there's only a very small
98%, my nigga. Come on, bro. That's all my people, folks.
All portion of them left who can effectively fight against Osborn. And so during the original Siege event, Asgard, as it existed in Oklahoma, was really like the last bastion of Norman Osborn solidifying his rule and then taking the steps to essentially take over the government and make himself dictator. And so because of this, he had basically brought along a lot of his ilk, his cabal, and led a campaign to take over Asgard. Now the kicker to this was that you still had Thor, you still had a lot of heroes who were there. You had Loki, who was kind of the hidden hand behind it all. But the idea here was that Osborn had gone against the forces of Asgard, and he'd gone against, the Avengers under Captain America when they had realized what was going on, and they basically rallied to the call. And so Norman Osborn was essentially defeated here.
Hey, I ain't gonna lie, Captain America a true New York nigga, bro. Like, he really jumped Tony Stark, man. Man, he really showed his ways, his true nature, man. Y'all New York niggas, y'all some slime ass niggas. But it's all good though. We rock with Tony Stark. That's in my top three. Tony Stark, Iron Man. Just because he don't, bro. Obviously, Captain America, he don't duck a fade. He run hands with anybody. But Tony Stark is a regular nigga in a suit and some money. Regular nigga with some money and got a suit. He got Pepper Potts, his bitch. He got jumped by two super soldiers, Bucky and Captain America. Ran the fade, didn't duck. Ran the fade with Thanos on another planet, did not duck. He's the one that found out how to go back in time. He created that. Like, he's that nigga, bro. Tony Stark, Iron Man is in my top 3, and Wolverine is in there. Wolverine, Tony Stark, and I just gotta think of one more. I'm just trying to sit here and really think.
This story, we take a different approach. In the original Siege event, or I guess in the event...
Don't make me say Black Widow just for Scarlett Johansson.
Really, the events that led up to Siege, Norman Osborn had essentially had the Sentry's wife, Lindy, killed by Bullseye. And then he had used the emotional state of Robert Reynolds to manipulate him into following the ideologies of Norman Osborn, hence having one of the most powerful beings in existence on his side. With this particular story, instead of fighting Ares, the god of war, on the battlefield during the Siege of Asgard, instead, Robert Reynolds had fought him.
Oh, these are superheroes across both, because I said Joker, Thanos, and Magneto. So Iron Man, Wolverine, and probably Batman. I ain't gonna lie, Batman is that nigga too. It'll probably be Batman, yeah. I just like regular niggas that bump, you feel me? Got some money to him
beforehand. And what this meant was that instead of like the original Siege,
Wolverine, he just crazy.
Reynolds was basically exhausted after fighting Ares. In this story, he's fully energized. He's lost virtually none of his power, and because of this, he's quite literally a one-man army. I mean, Robert Reynolds goes through, he kills Luke Cage by punching a hole in him. He kills Thor, like he cuts off the head of Captain America, and it was actually really messed up. It was funny. It's not funny. That's not.
Look at that nigga, bro. That's gonna be my.
Funny that Captain America's head got cut off. That's it is funny because like Spider-Woman Jessica Drew's like, no. It's hilarious.
Hey, comment down below, who is the baddest female superhero? The baddest female superhero across Marvel and DC. Who's the baddest? I just want to hear the debate. You got Catwoman, you got Black Widow, you got Mystique, you got Rogue. Jesus Christ. Gwen Stacy.
To me. But the idea here is that Robert Reynolds allowed for Norman Osborn's...
Actually, the answer is Miss Incredible. Fuck it, her thick ass. The answer is Elastigirl, Miss Incredible.
Base 44 super agents. The next thing you can't live without. No setup. Just
skip.
Villains to effectively go through and start killing off what was left of the superheroes, because you got to keep in mind, Captain America, despite not having any real superpowers per se, is like a moral rallying point for all of the superheroes. I mean, they look to Steve Rogers as the one guy that was solidified in Brian Michael Bendis' Age of Ultron. When everything had come crashing down, all the superheroes were waiting on Steve Rogers to formulate a plan. That's literally what they were waiting on. They were waiting on him to get his act together to figure out what to do next. They ultimately settled on traveling to one of Nick Fury's bunkers when he was still alive. But the idea was, during Age of Ultron, it was established that Captain America was the rallying guy, and it had always been that way. That story just kind of solidified it as being an absolute truth. But with him being killed here, the superheroes haven't really lost their will to fight so much as they've lost any real measure of organization. And so again, we have the Avengers coming in, much like we did before. We have Iron Man, we have, Wolverine, we have the X-Men, Cyclops, we have them coming in. Of course, the X-Men, again, didn't play a major role in the original events of Siege, but they're showing up here. But it doesn't matter because they're all being defeated by, Robert Reynolds and by these various heroes. And so the way things began to differentiate is Emma Frost effectively has to watch as Cyclops died. But during this process, Dr. Doom arrives. Dr. Doom steps in and says, hey, we got to get out of here. Like, I have magic that's basically hiding our existence here, but it won't be long before this magic wears off. They realize that we're here, and then they kill us. So we've got to bail out because I have a plan. And so she ends up going with Dr. Doom, and they arrive back at Utopia. Now, Utopia is this area where the
everybody be hitting. Hold on, let me not put no sweat on her name.
Operating out of, but there's only a handful of them left now from those who had originally been killed. And so, when the question is, what's your plan? What
you got? Sue Storm, you got Emma Frost. What
goals you have here? We're suddenly met. But
you got Harley Quinn.
The arrival of Loki, and Loki is the one that says, hey, I have a plan. I'm the one that has this idea on how we're going to fix everything. And so at this point, we really just kind of have Norman Osborn in the background solidifying his reign in the sense that he informs Carla and he informs Mac, a couple of his henchmen, to basically go and kill the president of the United States, thereby allowing Norman Osborn to solidify himself as absolute ruler of the world. We also have, Bullseye trying to be dealt with by some of these other heroes as well, but it's really just this attempt by them to eliminate as many of Norman Osborn's heroes as they can before they end up getting into Robert Reynolds. Now, following this, Robert Reynolds is actually brought to them by Loki, and this was the plan of Loki himself. His plan was to basically go to Reynolds and to say, hey, Bullseye was the one that killed your wife. Norman Osborn was the one who instructed him to do it. Now, initially, he doesn't believe them, but Emma Frost says, hey, let me use my powers, let me go into your mind, and I'll show you what it is that had happened. And when he sees what took place, he immediately kills her. And the reason why he does this is because Robert Reynolds transforms into the Void. Now, this is a great time to have that conversation.
Just like that.
Because I've seen so many people ask that. I saw in the Siege comments, or the Siege video, people were asking in the comments section, is the Void more powerful than Robert Reynolds? Yes. Robert Reynolds, it's really kind of like his powers are sort of a mishmash. There are some that say that he has the ability to warp reality, and that's kind of been confirmed to a degree in Marvel Comics. There are some that say he's just super powerful, and his power is whatever the writers need him to do at any one particular point in time. Like, that is just what his power is. He has powers of convenience. But the idea here is that Robert Reynolds always has like a moral compass. He always keeps the Void in check. The Void is all the anger and all the hate of Robert Reynolds manifested into a physical being, and it's unbridled power. I mean, just unbridled, untapped, uncontrollable power in the most extreme. And so it's literally just a force of nature is the best way to describe the Void. It is, and it's an insane reckoning, and we see this because the Void literally kills everyone. It kills Doctor Doom. Now, the death of Doctor Doom, which Doctor Doom always seems to die in stories like this, but the death of Doctor Doom is so cool.
That's because he be standing on that business.
The Void says, hey, look, if you want to beg, you can beg. And Doctor Doom says, nope, I don't beg. And so Void says, okay, fine, and just kills him off. No questions, no nothing. Kills off one of the most powerful mystics, one of the most powerful beings in existence. After that, he turns his attention to Norman Osborn and kills Norman Osborn. And so from here, it's basically, humanity launching its weapons, its weapons of war, its bombs and so on against the Void with no effort whatsoever, nothing happening out of this. And after this, the Void basically begins going through and killing all those heroes that just didn't show up at the siege on Asgard. It kills all these beings that just simply didn't make it to that event for whatever reason. And so what we learn is that this entire series of events is actually being watched by a member of the Watcher named Atau. Now, this is actually a deviation from the status quo. In Marvel Comics, all the what-if stories are basically told to us from Uatu the Watcher. And the reason why was established again in the original Sin story when Uatu the Watcher had access to see all the other universes that exist out there. And so it was like we were watching it through the eyes of the Watcher as he was looking at a viewing screen. But what happens is this is actually another guy named Atau who's relaying these events to Uatu the Watcher. And the implication here is that not only does the Void go through and wipe out all life on Earth and destroy the Earth itself, it also seems like the Void is going to eventually destroy the moon and then make his way through the entirety of the universe, killing everything off. Now the question is, could the Void do that? Yes, the Void could easily go through and kill the cosmic entities, kill the Celestials, kill Galactus, because remember, the Void's power is limitless. There's nothing the Void can't do. And so any foe that goes against the Void will have enough power to kill that foe every single time across the board without fail. This is why the character of the Sentry is so derisive in Marvel Comics, and this is because he's really just kind of like a trump card. Like, Sentry enters the fray and then whatever side he's on wins. But it's also the other reason why the Sentry in the comics had always tried to keep the Void at bay, because if the Void were to go unleashed like it did here, then it would just lead to the destruction of everything. This is really just showing us what happens when the Void, when the Sentry basically lets his guard down and allows the Void to completely take over, and what the ramifications would be for a situation like that. It's just the Void wiping out all things in existence. But if you guys are new here to Comics Explained, make sure you guys hit the subscribe button to become part of the Rob Corps.
Yeah, y'all. The Void / Sentry is OD, bro. He's actually OD. There's no way Superboy Prime is beating him. Like, there's no way. I don't care. There's another one I low-key want to watch, but I'm trying to decide if I should just do it separate. Alright, y'all. That's it for this video. We're going to upload the other one separate. Y'all, make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe, man. We on to the next for sure.